It's day 21 of the hush money trial, where we heard closing statements from Trump's lawyers and the prosecution. Here's Trump arriving at court.
Mr. Trump, how are you feeling about today? Are you confident with your lawyers?
Do you trust God?
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Make no mistake about it. I'm here because of crooked Joe Biden. The worst president in the history of our country is destroying our country. This country is being destroyed rapidly, not slowly, rapidly. On the borders, on energy, on inflation, on everything you can name. Afghanistan removal, everything about what he's done. He's destroying our country. And he's also destroying it with weaponization. And this is purely his weaponization. See who's in the courtroom. You go, just see who's in the courtroom. You'll see. And you'll see where they come from. And if you report it accurately, a lot of people are going to be very upset. But this is all election hunting, election interfering. It's going after Joe Biden's political opponent because he can't do it himself. And they're helping out. And we have a judge who's highly conflicted. He happens to be corrupt. It's the worst confliction. It's the worst that anybody's seen. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. There can't even be the prospect of an impropriety. And it's a shame. Wall Street Journal editorial report today, Alvin Bragg hasn't proved his case in the Trump trial. The evidence shows why the charges should never have been brought. After 20 days in court and a trial transcript of 4,000 pages, the missing piece is still the missing piece. There is no crime. Wall Street Journal. Jonathan Turley, a classic closing pitch by the lawyers is to use a physical object like a three-legged stool. If any three-legged stool is missing and any leg is missing, the stool absolutely collapses. Even a cursory review of the evidence shows that this case does not have a leg to stand on. This is a case without a leg to stand on. This is Jonathan Turley. The case against Trump should end in a very strong not guilty. Not guilty. I don't know these people, but they're great legal scholars. Greg Jarrett, every defendant has the fundamental right to be informed of the nature, the cause of the accusation against him, but Bragg never abided by that constitutional guarantee. Even worse, Mershon let him get away with it. He let Bragg get away with it, a trial that Bragg didn't want to put. And he should have done it 7 years ago if they were going to do it. They should have brought this case 7 years ago, not in the middle of my presidential election, where I'm leading by a lot, Biden by a lot. They brought it right in the middle of the election. Hopefully it doesn't work out for them. The same way allowed the local court to be misused to enforce a federal law over which he has no authority or jurisdiction. They have a federal law which they're using, but they have absolutely no authority. And under the federal law, I did nothing wrong. Andy McCarthy, former FEC Commissioner Bradley Smith, that's the expert that they wouldn't allow me to use, the #1 in the country. FEC Commissioner Bradley Smith's testimony would have established that Trump cannot have willfully violated FECA, that's Federal Election Campaign Act, because NDAs are not campaign expenditures. You know, there's nothing wrong with an NDA. They're signed all the time by many, many companies. They sign them literally on an hourly basis. Because NDAs cannot have, and then it says Trump did not have a FECA legal duty with respect to them. He could not have intentionally flouted the known legal duty. In other words, he's innocent. Mark Levin, same thing. The Bragg case is about lawfare run-em-up against a former president running again for president. It also represents the greatest effort to interfere with and steal an election. Donald Trump did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. This is everybody saying it. Except we have a judge who's corrupt. We have a judge who's conflicted. You know what the conflict is. So do I, but I can't say it because I'm under a gag order, which is another unconstitutional thing. You ever hear of a president, leading candidate, leading Biden, leading everybody, and have a gag order? I'm not allowed to speak. It's a first. No president has not been allowed to speak. But this is it. Read the cover today of the New York Post. Read all the stories in the New York Post. Everybody says this is crazy. This is not the trial that should happen. It's a very sad day. This is a dark day in America. We have a rigged court case that should have never been brought, and it should have been brought in another jurisdiction. As you know, we asked for that, and the judge never allows us anything. And just to end, we had an election expert who was going to say everything was perfect. The FEC did nothing. It was fine. And we had a lot of other people. I could give you a list of 40 people that would say the exact same thing as these people said. So thank you all very much. We'll see how it goes. This is a very dangerous day for America. It's a very sad day. Thank you.
Are you worried about a conviction?
Todd, are you confident today? How do you feel going in your closing? Where's Melania?
Over the past 6 weeks, Donald Trump's criminal trial in New York has heard from a long list of witnesses for the prosecution. Here's a reminder of some of the high-profile witnesses. Stormy Daniels, the adult film star who claims she and Trump had sex, and she was paid to keep quiet about it. At times, her testimony was both humiliating and explicit, and the judge had to tell prosecutors to rein it in. Michael Cohen, Trump's ex-lawyer who paid Daniels the $130,000 hush money payment. The defense worked hard to portray Cohen as a Trump-hating liar motivated by fame and money. Cohen described Trump as a micromanager who was well aware of what was going on in his organization. David Pecker, the former editor of the National Enquirer tabloid magazine, who told the court about his catch-and-kill scheme to buy and suppress negative stories about Trump in the lead-up to the 2016 election. He called it an agreement among friends. Hope Hicks, Trump's campaign spokesperson during 2016, when the now infamous Access Hollywood tape, where Trump brags about grabbing women by the genitals, was released, she told top campaign staffers in an email to deny everything. Hicks cried on the stand while giving her testimony. Madeleine Westerhout, Trump's White House aide, testified that she would write his tweets and print them out so he could edit them on paper. She got to know his style and, like Hicks, also cried on the stand while giving her testimony. Robert Costello, a lawyer and Trump ally who gave legal advice to Michael Cohen. Costello was the main witness to be called by the defense and prompted a furious rebuke from the judge after he appeared to groan at objections during his testimony. Closing arguments began on day 21, and Trump's defense lawyer Todd Blanche started by reminding jurors that at its core, this was a documents case, and the hush money and Stormy Daniels matter wasn't central to the case. But he did spend a significant amount of time dismantling events he said did not matter. We've gone through 2 catch-and-kill deals that were arranged on Trump's behalf. Now we're on the biggest one of all, Stormy Daniels' $130,000 payout. Blanche began by again denying that Trump and Daniels ever had sex. Legal experts are saying that wading into the Daniels story like this would be a mistake. Stormy Daniels doesn't have to be a liar for them to win. The risk is that if they take that a little too far, the jury might say they refuse to believe that everyone except Trump is lying. We saw shades of Trump's own aggressive denial tactics in such an argument. It's a surprise to no one that there is most likely a lot of pressure from Trump to paint certain people as liars. That's not necessarily the best defense strategy. Todd Blanche finished by saying the following: Trump had no intent to defraud. There's no proof that Trump ever saw the vouchers from Cohen. There was no intent to unlawfully influence the 2016 election. There is no falsification of business records. Todd Blanche's closing arguments have lasted well over 3 hours. During that time, he has focused on one primary strategy: taking down Michael Cohen. He ends his closing arguments calling Cohen the human embodiment of reasonable doubt. Blanche said, "If you focus on the evidence, this is a very, very easy and quick not guilty verdict." Then it was time for the prosecution to give their closing argument. Prosecutor Joshua Steinglass delivered the all-important summation for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. At its core, he told the jury, the case is about a conspiracy and a cover-up. While hush money payments are not inherently illegal, Trump broke the law in the following ways. Conspiracy to influence the 2016 election by paying hush money to Stormy Daniels. a cover-up to hide that effort by fraudulently claiming the hush money payments were legal expenses. As the burden of proof in this case lies with the prosecution, who must convince jurors of Mr. Trump's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt to secure a conviction. Lead counsel for the prosecution Joshua Steinglass took a nearly 4-hour route through his closing argument, finally wrapping at around 2000 hours local time at the behest of Justice Juan Merchan. Mr. Steinglass acknowledged the problems with some witnesses, including cringeworthy testimony from Ms. Daniels, as well as the considerable baggage of their star witness. Steinglass said to the jury, "The defendant chose Michael Cohen to be his fixer. We didn't pick him up at the witness store." Steinglass then said the jury must consider not whether you like Cohen or whether you want to go into business with him, but view him instead as a tour guide to evidence that his actions helped one person and one person only. If jurors ignore the sideshows, he added, they will find Mr. Trump guilty. The panel of 12 New York jurors will weigh Trump's legal fate and must unanimously agree to convict or acquit him. If they cannot agree on a verdict, the case will move to a mistrial. Trump did not speak to the press as he left court. Thanks for watching. If you want more from this trial, then please subscribe. See you next time.